So, welcome once again to another episode of Communicating Towards the Answer. Good to see you, Erica, Cam, and everyone here in the room. Hi, hi.
Hello.
Hello. Hi.
Well, we have a great theme, and we will see where we are guided and how we are directed to bring to surface things that can also show us and help us how to overcome, let me say, tendencies that we have carried along in our mind for a long, long time. And obviously, that we are willing to look at hurdles, obstacles, impediments that each and every one of us, as a teacher of God, has to pass, and at which mind structure we are willing to look at and give it to the Holy Spirit for the undoing. That will be our function and the job to do. And what we also, when we looked at the theme um, and brought it into that description, which is quite an extensive one, as you can find it on the website, what came into my mind was the importance to be aware of when doubt sneaks into the mind and literally plays its game and um, gets the mind to the point of self-doubt about his qualities, about I'm looking especially at the perspective what Jesus teaches in A Course in Miracles, everything around healing, because that's what we do here in time space. This is a healing experience, and out of time we are creative. And so these qualifications that are in us, that are given us literally as gifts, they need to be replaced. And this is what the ego thought system, especially doubt, does, that it replaces the value of our qualifications and comes to this questioning one's own capacities or even talents and miracle working capabilities. So it will be interesting what you can add on in the introduction, Erica and Cam, and from which perspective you came in order to bring that theme forth and what that meant for you in your mind. Can you elaborate a little bit so that we have a broader frame from where we can then focus and go finally to the solution?
Yeah. Um, for me, I want to be a teacher of God. I'm I don't know how to talk about it. Yeah, I want to be that. It's extremely attractive to me. But the doubt that you talk about, I know when I say that, I mean that I want to be that, and I don't know that I mean I want to do it like you're doing, teaching classes, Devavan, or having a podcast, or I don't know how it would look, but I know that I I want to be that. But I think, yeah, I'm not. Like I'm not a teacher of God because I'm not doing it all the time. And then I feel really bad, like really sad when I say that. So I don't know how it works, but I see the brothers teaching classes, and I don't want to say I'm in awe, but I'm, wow. When there's a teacher and it's really landing for me, I am like, wow, this is so amazing. I wish I can do that like them. But then I think that will be a long way. I don't think I will ever be able to be like them. Maybe I'm not supposed to be either. Maybe I'm making trouble for myself, assuming that, but I don't know. There's sadness about this topic for me, a belief that I can't do it. Yeah, that's my share.
Yeah, nice. I mean, it expresses also, brings into expression that there's an high expectation even put onto yourself, né? And what that means to be, um, let's say, a teacher of God, how he should be, how she should be, né? So we definitely take that with us. Cam, what is in your mind as a first perspective?
So there is a lot of doubt in my experience also, and that theme has placed a lot of fear in stepping forward into being more of, or being in more of a space of connection. And practicing here has helped to hold that space. And it's something that I've learned just in interacting with an individual, where there's more of a comfort space where there might not be critique of that joining from another, if that makes sense, has allowed there to be more confidence. And that confidence, yeah, that one's hard to hold always. And in turn, there's that doubt again and questioning. But when there's clarity, I know that is a very strong sign of being guided by the Holy Spirit. That clarity really helps when to understand what is right and where that guidance is given or where
Mhm.
it's coming from, right? So
Yeah,
that's the
nice.
start.
And that shows me also that the support of my brother and the value of that support, né? Because I do use my brother in order to confirm if I'm on the right way, to strengthen that source within myself that does already the work of God, let's say, and is active in the healing, and then also um, brings that support, brings it to a certainty in the mind. Yes, this is what I want to do, and um, this is obviously, I start believing to myself, uh, I'm on the right track. Yeah, for me, myself personally, it was always a form of self-doubt, which I would allow in for a long time. And by questioning myself and putting that level on a very high stake, so to speak, of being perfect. And of course, I wasn't happy with that because I was within the ego's framework. Né? And it took me a while to also, with the support of my brothers, to really learn that there is no comparison to me, because that was very important then to recognize that I cannot compare myself with others. And I saw that I was constantly comparing myself with other teachers and other healers. And so I basically placed myself with that self-doubt, am I doing the right thing or not, on a level of perception, on a level how I compared the images I saw my brothers are doing it with my own self-observation. And that was just a mistake. Né? So I needed the support to be guided no longer to do that, but really, in that sense, let the thing be as what it is. Yeah. Let the appearance be without my need to get again into it and trying um, to make it better or to do anything with that. Né? And so the question is then only one between trust and doubt. Né? And that question, that choice, I could only make totally. I knew that. I cannot doubt a little bit and say, yeah, but I'm trusting that it's perfect as it is. Né? I knew if I trust that it is through the Holy Spirit and it is what it is, and He will continue the work no matter if I still perceive some limitations in it, then I saw, okay, I have to trust totally that there is a higher power that is not just working through me, but continues the work. And so that allowed me to learn the very important lesson not to focus any longer on symptoms as they are perceived by the sensory organs. Né? Every teacher of God, every healer has to learn no longer to give emphasis nor to focus on continuing symptoms. He calls it in A Course in Miracles. Né? And that's in my case, that was an essential lesson to learn. And once uh, I didn't do that anymore, it was a very simple thing in my mind. I was just listening to that guidance of him of no longer looking at all at the person or the situation as it was presented as sickness or as a problem or as whatever thing that needed healing, but to literally practice, to look through it and only see the light of that mind, of that soul, and let that what was previously as problem healed and anyway converted in my mind to completely literally to look through it. And once I started practicing that, I noticed that there was something working beyond my doing, that it didn't need me anymore. Né? And that is very important. As long as I think it needs me, né, as the healer, I will be in the ego. And of course, I will determine an ego expression in that. It's only when that's literally how he teaches it in the lessons, to step back, né, and take the second place, that we can actually stay in that alignment of the trust. And that doesn't mean that once in a while still some self-doubt sneaks in, but now I can catch it immediately and release it. I don't need to suffer anymore of this tendency that has been indoctrinated by our teachers and parents and societies, yeah, lifetimes over lifetime over lifetime. Ne? I was guided to share some parts today from A Course in Miracles from the teacher's manual, and I was guided to this section. I think it's the section, the seventh question. Uh, um, should should healing be repeated? Is the question? Yeah, and one thing that kind of struck me right away is pretty much in the beginning, where he talks about this lack of trust and where he says, whenever a teacher of God has tried to be a channel for healing, he has succeeded. So he confirms me that the moment I align myself and give myself to the Holy Spirit, invite him and let him come through and do the healing work, I have succeeded. So that is actually the full answer. Why would I then even go into self-doubt or any form of self-doubt? And any form of self-doubt is a worthlessness, within the self-identity. And so there are clear indications that show us how the mind slides into that uncertainty and into that continuation of staying with the doubt and this self-questioning. And there's a clear answer given by him and his direction and his guidance. we can also go into certain examples, of course, um, as we have them mentioned in the description also. If you have anything that comes into your mind further on, Erica.
I mean, this part about not paying attention to the symptoms is, yeah, it's, thank you for bringing, I mean, I've heard that, it just, thank you for saying that and trusting completely that when what you just read, when there's a situation that's been opened up and a teacher of God comes to be present as a channel for healing, all we need to do is be sure that that's occurred and not question that. But for me, another thing comes in where I seem to still, yeah, I mean, I can just see I'm completely like, I'll judge the teacher of God. You know, if I'm in a class, for example, I will say, oh, I don't feel the Holy Spirit right now. And I know that has to do with me, but it's still hard because I observe and I'll say, yeah, wow, they are really accessing it. And then I'll also see a teacher of God and say, they're just talking. It's so much talking. Ah, it's not working.
Mhm.
So I'm still perceiving like, oh, the teacher of God is succeeding in some places and he's failing because his class is flat,
Mhm.
not good, not a good class.
Mhm.
Is this just reflecting to me how I might like to do it? Or am I still stuck in perception completely if I can't perceive in every case the Holy Spirit is working? It's
Well,
effective.
I think at some point we do have the capacity to tune in and literally feel the energy from if there's something presented that is only set and has its base in the conceptual mind, or if it comes from a deeper experience of source of connection with God. Ne? We do have the capacity to sense that and feel that. Ne? And you are talking about that too. And I would always trust in such a feeling, of course, because that's all I have. Ne? But where I cannot trust is the following part, and that's the main part, into my judgment, because I'm using literally that tuning in and that feeling to justify my judgment and say, oh, and now my judgment is valuable or is correct. And that is what is always wrong. So what you were mentioning and pointing out also is that the mind goes then into judging, and from the judgment it's categorized and put into I'm interested in that and I'm not interested in that, and I think this works and I think that doesn't work, and this communicates and that doesn't communicate, and blah 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 blah. No? In truth is everything communicates if I want it to communicate. It's my choice. No? And if I let go of the judgment of the teacher or of what I perceive. But I see the perceptual part, when I can tune in from which source that comes from, uh, the value in that lies because at the end, I am the only teacher there is, the only son of God. You are that. Ne? That means I see it like this pyramid. Everything is valuable and we have these cornerstones, but that doesn't mean that we are already at the peak of the pyramid. So that might involve many other brothers, and it includes myself. Ne? So if I can sense that there's something left and left within the conceptual mind that even motivates me to open up that connection to the source, ne? That means, okay, I'm now, it's my job now to continue to offer how this script is written, and there's more to that than what we could study together and learn together on the conceptual level, you know. That should motivate us to offer the true communication and connection in the light, where the love comes through, where the healing power, that light power, is then literally shared and felt in every mind. Ne? And the truth is, nobody can do that except we ourselves. That is our function. And if I see it already in the brother and can perceive it, I can simply tune myself into that and say, wow, we are already there. I'm just including myself in, and we are there together. There's no competition needed. There's nothing to add to it. We are right there. No? We are home, literally. No? And that it becomes true home is when it enters into complete quietness and stillness of mind, and there's really just peace and light and love and whatever we want to call it. There are no words needed anymore. There are no answers there anymore. That is the answer. That is his answer. No? His answer is there when we feel that grace of light and love. Yeah? That is his answer. So all what I hear here is I just need to catch myself when my judgmental mind would start out telling myself what is, ne? And I can immediately go there. I'm wrong. This is not what it is. That's how I talk to myself. Ne? I'm simply wrong. Ne? This is not what it is. Ne? And then I can again open it up to the true communication and ask, Holy Spirit, what is it truly? I'm willing that you show me. Show me right now. And he will show very personally to clarify that for us. And this is all part of this self-doubt. Ne? In more towards the end of this section, he says the real basis for doubt, that's in the 5th paragraph, the real basis for doubt about the outcome of any problem that has been given to God's teacher for resolution is always self-doubt. I'm literally using the judgmental part to stay in the self-doubt and even strengthen the self-doubt. Yeah, that's where the ego has the grip on it. Né? That's what we need to open up. Né? And he continues, and that necessarily implies that trust has been placed in an illusory self, né? In a self which I'm not. For only such a self can be doubted. This illusion can take many forms. And then he gives us the examples, and they are very valuable. I want to remember those because that's where I can catch myself. And he makes basically a list here. Perhaps, yeah, he doesn't say it's always like this. Perhaps there is a fear of weakness and vulnerability. Interesting, né? A fear of weakness. I
Yeah.
doubt myself to be strong. I think I'm weak. I think I'm vulnerable. Né? The truth is, yes, it has a value to show my vulnerability, but the truth is, I'm completely invulnerable as I'm created by God. Then he continues, perhaps there is a fear of failure. Oh, there we are. That's what you were talking about. No? I will not succeed. And I read it. That was the first sentence. No? If if I uh, if I try to be a channel for healing, I have succeeded. Success is guaranteed. It doesn't. I don't need perceptual verification. It's fact of the matter. I simply need to ask, Holy Spirit, I want to be channel that you heal through me. Healing is a success. Now, to question that, I have no evidence on the conceptual level. I can only say that's a fact of the matter. I accept that. Or I can say, that's just this bullshit from the course. I don't want to hear it. That's, again, we are free to choose however we want to have that. I give a little bit more of the list and then we can go again into details. So perhaps there's a fear of failure and then in even shame associated with a sense of inadequacy. Inadequacy. Yeah. Perhaps there's a guilty embarrassment stemming from false humility. Ne? False humility is exactly that. If it's only Jesus heals, yeah, and
Mm.
uh, and uh, and that's false humility, yeah. True humility is to see that there's a oneness that comes through us and literally becomes us. It's becoming me because I'm not the body, I'm free, for I'm still as God created me. If I'm only saying it's only this personality or this idea of Jesus, then I still remain maybe in a worthless self and can say, well, I'm just a sinner and that worthless self. I have not the capacity. It's not true. Every one of us has that capacity. And the form of the mistake is not important. What is important is only the recognition of a mistake as a mistake. So I only need to see it as a mistake, and I can replace that right away in my communication with the Holy Spirit. And I'm again aligned with that. Yeah, okay. And then we can go into other points. What do you want to add to that or say?
So I feel this has already been answered, but I want to go into a specifics now,
Mhm.
because for me, there's quite a difference that I've made between, and I know this is specialness, this is what I do in perception, but if I'm being a teacher of God and I perceive there's one person with me and it's an informal setting, there's no stress about this. But if I think I'm going on a class like you have classes or other teachers have classes, this becomes a whole nother ball game to me, where fear of failure, like this is attractive to me actually in the sense that I want to throw myself to the wolves there. I
Mhm.
do, because I want to force myself to just do it, because at some point someone just does it in spite of feeling everything they're feeling about it. They just go and are
Mhm.
holding that space, and it must be incredibly awesome in reinforcing it for oneself, and that's what's attractive about it. But it seems very scary, and I could guess there are many other people. I know it's only me, but many other people wondering about that.
Yeah,
Like I will
I
say,
had that. I had that for many, many years. Actually, it came really to surface when I started with A Course in Miracles, and in that I saw the value of the course. That it pushed it up very strongly. That this I was literally nervous, extremely nervous, né? Like fearful, né? Fearful of me facing uh, this auditorium. Ne? And it's very simple, and it's actually the solution is so simple that it's almost not recognizable on the conceptual level. And also the brothers helped me with that. Ne? And it was the indication that I can give you now, and we can solve it together. Uh, who is out there in the auditorium was the question, and is the question. See, you know it right away. There's just myself there. No? We all know it. No? But this
yeah,
is what I need to remember, and I need to practice that. No? So I needed to practice that. I think I practiced it a couple of years, and then it started changing big time. No? And every time when I became kind of nervous or anxious, no? I just it was my mantra. No? Everyone I see in the room is just myself. There's only one here. That's what I told myself. No? And I repeated that as often as I needed. No? But it does its work then, because at some point it doesn't make sense to be nervous about myself. Why would I have to be nervous about myself? I'm myself anyway. I'm always myself. I can not lose myself. No? So there are very simple tricks and practices to open that up, to literally liberate ourselves from, because it's very obvious that at that point I set the separation. I said, I am here, I'm in that role of teacher, healer, whatever, né? And they are there. Né? And here's the gap between the me and the them. Né? And that gap is self-fabricated. Né? And that gap also nourishes, of course, the self-doubt and the anxiety, all form of fear that then comes up. Né? And the moment we work with that, and bring it. That means always I bring it together, I bring it back to myself. Whatever it is, that's my job to do, to bring it back to myself. Ne? And that will then work by itself. Ne? And those things slide out and disappear, or you can then see for a while that it is not so strongly felt, and you can deal with it, and then at some point it just disappears. It's not there anymore. No? So that's good news too, no? That it's not something that will last forever. The ego has nothing to offer that lasts. Its time is counted. No? It's all just a moment, and then it changes, and then it loses its effect and its power. It's just it's all fake. No? It's the deep fake of our mind is the expression of the ego, no? In any way. No? So thank you for that. That's, I think, we all can relate with that at one or the other level. No? And
Well, yeah.
see, the fact of the matter is also we need to accept I am a teacher of God. Why? Because I choose that. And that's what he says also at the beginning in that first question, who are the teachers of God? And his answer is very simply, the ones who are choosing that. Yeah? Choose it because I want it. At some point in the mind, might be completely in the conceptual mind, doesn't matter, but it's a choice, a personal choice. And so those who choose it, they are it. There's nothing to learn there's no process to it. It's a simple choice. Yeah. It's a decision in the mind. The moment the decision is made, we are that, period. Because there are so many sciences and ways presented. How can you become a teacher of God? And then they give you the list of what you are supposed to learn or how you can go along in order to become a teacher of God. And that's not what Jesus teaches in the course. Jesus teaches simply, you choose that, you decide on that, you are it. Period. So simple, because it's just a concept in the mind. At the end of time, proceeding or literally, I see it as the bridge on the other side into the light, into God. And my last job is the teacher of God. Whatever I think the teachers of God's qualities are, or what the job description is, they will all disappear. This is all, anyway, whatever I want to have it. And the course is full with giving us ideas about what is the difference to worldly jobs and so on. And that's all fine, what it is. But it is way simpler than we always go for the complicated thing where I can do something, learn something, study something, and go to courses and pay for it and all that stuff. It's all not needed. I just need to be remembered. This is my choice. Do I want to make that choice? Then I am that. So that is set then. Once that is set, okay, the teachers of God's function is set. It's just a question of communicating with that source that brings about the demonstration, the teaching, the healing, because I want to have it that it is light inserted, that it communicates through light and comes from the source of light, which is the mind of God, yeah, which is creative thought. And so that needs, again, the selecting my own thoughts I brought along from the past, what I gave to myself with all those, what he talks here about, that makes then up a self-worth, that makes up the ego, that makes up these ideas of value and of failure, of course, on the other side. No? And then the next step is uh, if I have accepted that for myself, it's actually impossible that anybody could come into my mind and not have asked for that too, or at least looked at it, thought about it, and in truth has also made the same decision, even if it is denied or not remembered. So
Mhm.
everyone coming in my mind shares the same decision that I made. Isn't that's amazing to me? That's so awesome. I cannot meet anybody then who reflects my own decision that I made to be, I just needed to accept it for myself. Okay, I'm a healer and a teacher of God, facilitating that healing through his, so through the true source, and so is every brother that comes into my mind. Somebody who has completely denied that and rejected that will simply not come into my mind. It's fact of the matter, because it my mind, when what I see as the world is a product of my thinking. It's just a reflection of my own thoughts. It can only reflect what is in my own mind. So I might for a moment maybe see a reflection when I myself still denied it or rejected it. And there comes forgiveness in. At that point, I will need to forgive myself and simply replace that old idea with the new perspective. And that is forgiving myself. Is I let that go where I was resisting it in whatever point of time. And now I let it replace for me with where I'm currently stand in my consciousness and in my thinking. And then this is reflected. You know and everything else disappears. And the good news is I don't need to care about it because they are already home. It looks like, oh, and now you sacked your brother maybe and you threw him out, or you apparently excluded him, or however the appearance is. It's not true. There's never an exclusion, really. It's not possible. It's just I released that association in my mind into literally into heaven, into the solution, into God's mind. Everyone is already there, and I'm the last one bringing my word with at last. That's how the world ends, and in no other way. That's the simplicity of the truth that he teaches and that we find in this course and can literally feel energetically. So it's just a little, you see, a little alignment I need to do in my mind to see what actually is given me and in which role, which position he wants me to have. He wants you to have right there as an I love also the expressions. They are not really in the course emissary, no? But in the course groups, it's used the emissaries of light, for example. No? We are emissaries of ambassadors. The master teacher used the word ambassador also. You're an ambassador of that message. You're an ambassador of that of that healing energy that comes from grace, because it needs you. You are the one who is the navigator and the one who is the facilitator of it. No? It doesn't work without me. And that's where the Christian communities need to step up, and certain are there where they say, okay, I have that experience of light with Christ, and I do know now that this is also my function to extend it, to give that, to share it. And you know what I love the most, where I feel it the most? Not so much in the preachers, but in the singers. There are artists out there
Yeah.
where you can, oh my
Yeah.
God, it like catapults me straight into heaven. Eh?
Mm.
And those are the guys who accepted that for themselves. They are I'm an ambassador. I am that, literally what the definition of the Holy Spirit is, that facilitator. That is the healer. That's the communicator. That is what we are. It needs our acceptance of that. A teacher of God accepts that as his function. Cam, you have to say something now.
I was gonna say, well, thank you,
You're
Dev.
like kind of smiling there in the
Oh,
background,
no, I know,
enjoying
because I was just
it's
thinking
like
to
somehow
myself,
you
I
got
was
the
gonna
sense
say,
there's
thank you,
something
Devavan.
brewing.
I was gonna say, thank you, Devavan. Have a good day. I think we can be done now because the answer is there. No, yeah, it's great. But yeah, something that's been there for me throughout this is the corrections that are showing up through an experience from another, and having the experience and knowledge base after you've already entered being a teacher of God and that willingness has been set. But then there's years of experience for example, what you've had and what Erica's gone through and everyone else. And so when there's a moment where, through my experience, where I've stepped in and really wanted to participate, right there, I can tell, and I've learned, and Erica has taught this to me very clearly because she won't participate with me when I'm in that space of, I'm going to do this. I am going to do this. I want this. And she says, no, you're not there. This isn't right. And I'll get fired up sometimes because I really want that. And so there's that correction, or I guess maybe a better term is just the sharing. Part of it has allowed me to see that humility, which then opens up everything for that guidance and that support to be available. And still, there's times where I'm stumbling over myself because I don't have that confidence and that trust. But now, with the sharing that you have given about really stepping back for a moment and recognizing it's just me, it's just right, that really placed a lot of security and trust in the practice, which yeah, that was really good. So thank you for that. Now,
I give you a few things on the way, okay, that comes into my mind spontaneously. Um, so you might be aware of it, or maybe not, or maybe replacing it then, or wanting to replace with other qualities. But as I said, there's no comparison between teacher of God and teacher of God. And I know you very well, actually. Master teacher would always say, I know you better than you know yourself. I like that line. And it's true. My brother knows me better than I know myself. It's always true. So anyway, joke on the side. Um, I want to show you how I know you personally also and how it reflects in my mind, which are for me complete uh, teaching faculties and qualities. And in that sense, there's an invitation there to bring that up, and to start really valuing them. In my mind, those are very high values. I think you are teaching a lot by you are a very good listener, Cam. I'm not sure if you're aware of that. You're a high developed listener. Never underestimate the power of listening. A good listener teaches the same moment that he
Mhm.
listens. And it has nothing to do, you don't need actually words or an expression. And you're teaching by that focus of listening. I can really see you how you listen into your heart and soul. And it transforms there by itself, and it comes out as an empathy, and it comes out as a wisdom actually of catching the situation and what a situation is about. And then there's another quality that every teacher of God is, besides those characteristics that are described in the course, but every teacher of God has that. We are caretakers. We do not just take care, we start taking care of ourselves because we have to take care of ourselves in order to make progress. But from there, it extends into our next ones. It does extend into our communities, and it might be first just the couple, the kids, the family, but it goes from there into the community, and it opens up into the world community, in the global community, and it opens up finally into the whole universe. And a complete awakened mind cares about the whole universe. If we cannot conceptually grasp it nor explain it, but I know it's true and I have at least a touch of it. Yeah. So, and you have that too. You are a caretaker. You care about first the guys around you, and everybody can sense that. That gives security, not just security, but also it communicates. And it communicates always. Those are qualities like compassion, love, understanding, and so on and so forth. Only guys who care can communicate that. It's like a vibration, I would say. Yeah. And also, it's not in what we are doing and what you do, but it is from where it comes from and what it gives. And there's a sense, we can sense the love in it. We can sense that divine light energy that comes through it. And that's how you teach. And so you don't even need, if the words come, fine, but it doesn't need to be primary. We all have certain frequencies how we teach primarily, and it's not so much seen and recognized maybe in the category of what teaching with demonstration would mean, but everything is part of our teaching. And so it's part of the main process is to open that up and discover that for ourselves. What are actually my primary qualities, how I communicate that comes from his mind and my source. No? And once I start accepting that more and more and more, because there's the practice. I might need a moment that it becomes strong in me. No? And but then that strength will work by itself. It's literally the Holy Spirit using those qualities and uses everything, any of our qualities, to do the work, the healing work. That's a miracle, how the miracle works. We have not really any explanation how that works, but it comes through the acceptance of those qualities within us. What do you say? Just say thank you.
No, yes, thank you. No, of course. And a lot of what you're saying is a lot of what Erica has shared with me, and that has been she's been able to highlight, and like what you have just shared is highlighting those primary qualities. And I'm not only speaking for me, I understand it's out there. And that's something that, yeah, once that was absorbed fully, then there was more attention to be there and to practice that way. And just the other morning, there was a moment. All I said was thank you to
Yeah,
Erica. And there was so much that we were there together in. And it was powerful. And it's
yeah,
just simple. And that's, I see, is what it is. It's
yeah.
simplicity.
And
But this,
Erica has the immense quality of tuning in empathically. No? It's like she catches the energy and through literally an inside feeling, and however we want to call that, no? It is I would say an, where it starts with intuition, but it goes then further. And then she has also the quality that she doesn't just let that be as what it is, but she converts it immediately in her mind. And the moment we converting thought forms from illusion towards the truth, we are already healing and teaching. And if that finds an expression or not is again secondary, because the work is happening in our own mind. And that's what teaching as demonstrating is. Ne? And that can then be converging or merging very well, like with your qualities or with the one of the kids or whoever comes in the mind. Ne? Like we walk besides with that. Ne? We are companions, and it's also a miracle with the ones we are also walking personally on the appearance, on the level of perception. And those are the ones we really invite in, and we want to see evidence of how we merge and how we walk together, because there's still doubt in the mind. And once that doubt becomes a certainty, then again, the image might just disappear, or it might strengthen itself so much that it just flashes and becomes pure light, and then there's no value of any of the meaning of what is perceived of the image. No? So it's I love it. I want to always see it from the perspective of that there's a reason why we come together on a personal level. There is no accident whatsoever. We are so um, directed to find trivial evidences. Oh, because we met in this and that situation and blah, blah, blah. That's not the reason at all. We are yearning from lifetime to lifetime to find those companions in which we see that this merging of the qualities happens and becomes literally in one extended direction towards freedom. So, and that of course yearns in the consciousness for fulfillment, and that fulfillment is guaranteed, and it doesn't even take time. We also, when we enter into light, that's the evidence it's fulfilled indeed. It's amazing. I want to still share here a little bit from this section where he says then in the last paragraph, the mistake is always some form of concern with the self to the exclusion of the learner, of the patient. It is a failure to recognize him as part of the self. Now, here's the self capitalized, and thus represents a confusion in identity. That's why I'm responsible to see the other as my true self. Yeah, that's my responsibility.
Mm.
And not keep it in the small self, what I've given limited meaning. Conflict about what you are has entered your mind, and you have become deceived about yourself. And you are deceived about yourself because you have denied the source of your creation. We are always directed and guided back to our source. What is my source? Is it just the conceptual mind with those concepts, or do I go all the way to my true creative source? If you are offering only healing, you cannot doubt. Very important. If I'm willing not to offer an illusion, but only healing, there's no space for doubt. If you really want the problem solved, you cannot doubt. If you are certain what the problem is, you cannot doubt. Doubt is the result of conflicting wishes. Be sure of what you want. He guides us always towards what we really want. And doubt becomes impossible. And that's where all the help that is given, that we receive through any means, will always directing us to clarify what we truly want. What did we have just 2 days ago? I want the peace of God, and only the peace of God. That's what we really want. So all other desires will make place for wanting only what is eternally true in us and so in everyone. And then doubt becomes impossible. If doubt has become impossible, there's only healing agency, sharing and extending all the time in any situation, everywhere.
Thank you.
And that's where the mind then accepts naturally that not just the beginning of that section, should healing be repeated, where he says the question really answers itself. Healing cannot be repeated. If the patient is healed, what remains to heal from him from? You see, it's all these notions of repeating a healing become literally not attractive, or don't present themselves. I mean, I myself, as you might know from my human upbringing in the medical science and medical education, and was working as a veterinarian, as a doctor. And you always must have an eye on how the symptoms develop and how they proceed, isn't it, Corey? And so it's part of being a good doctor, no? And it's exactly the antithesis of what he teaches here, no? When it's really about healing, then I need to go out of that doubt and go into that certainty that one extension of the Holy Spirit has done the job and it's done. Yeah. And my job is actually not to strengthen that perception of the symptoms anymore. Yeah? Because the continuing symptoms, again, who makes them up? No? I'm literally misusing my brother to give me evidence. No, they are there, those symptoms. No, I make it up. I make it up. I want to hear it, and I want my brother to repeat and to give testimony of the continuing symptoms. The truth is, they are already gone. So, as a teacher of God, I learn to just reinforce that they are already gone. Yeah. And then the self that shines will, in its own time, everyone very personally, in its own time, then accept that they are gone. I'm literally, as a helper, only here to confirm and to help that they are already, to confirm that they're already gone. And I might still suffer physically, and I might still offer some alleviation of physical suffering. No question about that. That can all stand as it is. Yeah. But I need also to do the work and go there to confirm, in our mind, in that action where we join and where we trust, it's already gone. So let's bring that also force into the consciousness. The more we bring that force, it's already gone, the faster the symptoms will not reappear, will disappear, and the faster they will be gone and will not reappear. Because it's really just all an image and an illusion in our own mind. There is no such thing as a true sickness out there or a true symptoms in my brother. I'm just, in that sense, again, seeing what I remember myself as I was at some point on the timeline, where I died over and over again, where I was sick over and over again, where I grew old over and over again. But the truth is not so. And we are here to offer each other, hey, let's remember. Let's remember. Last words, Erica can.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. I love you. Thank you so much. It's just awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it is
Thank
awesome.
you.
Joining like this just brings so much clarity because every week there's so much that gets brought on, and having this time really helps clear a lot. And so
Yeah,
it's just
we always reopen moment by moment. Of course, we go back. Me too. I have also moments where I try to go back into the hole and just close myself off. Ne? And so then it's okay. No, I can reopen it. Yeah, and that's how we use each other also. Ne? That is really what the brotherhood is for. Ne? Because
Yeah.
that's the Holy Spirit as the communicative device. Ne? He wants us to be completely right there, right present with him in that remembrance, né? Because he has no use if we mingle it up with doubt and with, illusions, ne? Then he cannot use us really. Ne? He needs us very clear, in a clarity. Ne? And that's what we share. Well, let's get out of here. I'm gonna go to service into the cheese, and I have a last song for us. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well,
Gracias. Danke.
yes, yes, yeah.